Hi, my name is Shika Balani, and welcome to another episode of She Means Business by Chic Studio. And I post on here every single week talking about all things marketing, entrepreneurship, and women empowerment. I have actually built quite a large community that attends my webinars once a month. So if you are interested, do check out our website, www.chicstudio.net, and you will find all of the upcoming webinars on there. And don't be afraid to interact with us on social media. We check every single DM. I check it almost every single day as well. So if you have any specific questions, comment down below or engage with us on social media or my personal LinkedIn account, and I would love to reply and get back to you on any other questions that you have or would like to see in other future episodes. Without further ado, I do want to get into today's episode, which is all about how to build your confidence, especially if you're the only female in the room. And this topic kind of comes from my own personal experience working in a very male dominated niche, which is events. I started my career in events at the age of 23, I believe. And at that point, I was obviously already very young and I was a woman. So people never took me seriously. However, right now at this very present day, Chic Studio is one of the leading event marketing agencies, not just in the GCC, but globally as well. We are growing very, very rapidly, and we're working with some of the biggest names in the world, including Live Nation, PFL, Proactive Entertainment, a couple of different huge arenas as well. And I wanted to bring this episode to life to kind of talk to you about the ways in which I've been able to dominate my space, and hopefully you can dominate yours as well. I want to talk about this episode starting off with a little story about one of the first times that I was put in a place where I felt super uncomfortable, and mainly because I was surrounded by men in a room that didn't take me seriously, yet I still managed to close the deal. So I was pitching for a very, very big project. I met the team in person, shook their hands, and before I even started presenting, no one took me seriously. And they actually asked, who's the owner of the company and where are they and can they present it? And obviously at that time, I was just a 2-person company, just me and one of my employees. And I went to represent ourselves. Our team actually, and before I sat down, everybody was just wondering, who is this kid that's come to our office and is going to present to us a deck of how we're going to market their $1 million event. And yeah, it was a crazy experience, but one of the ways in which I immediately got their attention is by social proof and by showing my data and showing that I understood the market very, very clearly. So sat down, I spoke to them, shook their hand, and started talking about my experience and how knowledgeable I was of the industry. And at that time, the events industry was just growing in Dubai and in the GCC. It's incomparable to what it is now. Now it's just overly saturated in my opinion, but it's just a check to tell you that it isn't a business skill, it's a confidence thing. If you come into a room and you are confident about what you're talking about, people will take you seriously. So that is one of the ways that I got attention immediately. But this goes on to say that you should over prepare your data that you're going to kind of showcase. You should research past campaigns, benchmarks, competitions. When we are pitching to clients and artists that are coming to the UAE, the likes of Coldplay, Backstreet Boys, Guns N' Roses, when we work on such campaigns, we have years and years of data and so many campaigns to show our expertise in the field. So regardless of what industry you are in, you need something tangible to show the audience or the people that you're presenting to that you know what you're talking about. And I would say always have a proof deck with case studies and metrics so that you can show that and kind of get their attention. The second ways in which I was able to grab people's attention and lead in the niche that I'm in is by controlling the narrative from the get-go. What does that mean? That means you should open strong. Don't wait for any permissions, any questions to be asked. You need to go in there and act like you're the one leading the room. The minute you do that, all the attention will be on you, and people won't be asking questions about who's the boss and why isn't the boss here yet, when you are actually the boss. Another thing that you could do is have an intro template. From the get-go, introduce yourself as a managing director, or from the get-go, introduce yourself as the founder. And also don't disclose your age if you are young, because that's just going to make them second guess you, which you don't need. You need to go in with authority. Already asking someone's age is very disrespectful, so you could just say, I don't like to share my age because I think it's rude. And that is one of the things that I've actually done. I would say the beginning of any script or the beginning of any presentation is daunting, and I always maybe trip over my toes when I am doing an intro to any presentation. So I would say prepare the first 90 seconds of every single pitch that you're going to do. Once you start flowing well, everything else just rolls off of your tongue, and you will be able to run through the presentation very smoothly. So make sure you do that. The second thing is that you should be able to ask very strategic questions throughout. So don't just present, consult. Ask what their pain points are, what challenges are they facing right now. Try to understand, I guess, them and their pain points and issues that they've had in the past, so that you're able to already present those answers before you officially submit the proposal, and you're able to navigate those issues that they face in the past, and kind of come across as the right partner for them. So for example, one of the questions that I usually ask is, what didn't work last time? What was your biggest concern? And that's immediately how you shift the dynamic from being a vendor to actually a partner that's able to scale them. And, that's one of the biggest positionings that we have at Chic Studio, that we act as their partner for strategic growth rather than just another agency. So that's one of the key things. I would say prepare your first 5 questions that you're going to ask, so that you're very well informed of their challenges. And secondly, I would say have a very, very strong positioning of your company, or you as an individual, if you are a freelancer, of how you will step in to support them. The fourth strategy that I would actually recommend to you is having visual authority. So you should dress intentionally and appropriately. What does that mean? It means that you should be wearing a blazer and a shirt and proper jeans or trousers. Sometimes when you wear the wrong, I guess, outfit, unfortunately, it does rub people in the wrong way, whether that's a skirt or things like that. Especially if you're in the GCC or UAE or Saudi, whatever it might be, having a conservative look will often be more beneficial for you than being, over and out and dressing a certain way, if you get what I mean. And I would say try to sit at the table, have your book ready and pen. Even if you're not going to be taking any notes, have it out so that you look the part and you're ready for that meeting. And body language is obviously very, very important. So take space, don't forget to blink, take pauses, try and understand and speak at a measured pace. That usually really, really helps for them to take you seriously. And another thing that I do whenever I'm going to be pitching is I try to have allies beforehand that are in the room itself. So you should never go cold into important meetings. You should have, I guess, a champion there with you. So someone that you've made a connection with within the company that can kind of take your side and can vouch for you. Whether it's in the room or when you leave the room, that person is there to take your side. So having a 15-minute call before every event pitch with the person that's going to be vouching for you. That's one of the strategies that I've used previously. I would also research the attendees that are going to be in the room to try and find talking points. So see what school they went to, where they've lived, whether they speak the same language as you, things that you could then talk about and break the ice with when you're in the actual pitch. And I guess one of the last strategies is to follow up like a pro. So send a summary of your meeting as soon as you get back to your desk after the proposal or the pitch is over. Include key points, your solutions, and next steps with timelines. I think one of the key things that has been a game changer for us in our agency is having those next steps really outlined in the email and asking them, when can I expect to hear from you by, and have it all in writing so that if they do ghost, you're like, okay, we had finalized that we were supposed to hear back by next week. Have the timelines changed? And you can go ahead and ask that and kind of be very firm with that. It positions you as a serious and a very organized person, by the way. I would say, in some of the challenges that I've faced personally as a female entrepreneur is having men talk over me in situations. So, sometimes and in certain scenarios, I've had people talk over me. And one of the key things is to not get emotional, but stay firm and stick to your point. So, if they do cut you off, answer their question and then go back to, so like I was saying, I'd like to finish my point about so-and-so topic, and then proceed. And then I'm happy to hear your point after that. So I would say, staying firm and completing what you were saying before moving on to the next topic is very, very, very important, especially when you have a certain agenda in mind. And another thing is I guess one of the things that I faced is, especially when I was younger, is people always question my expertise. I don't think they do so anymore because I feel like I have a very impressive portfolio now. I have a very strong personal brand as well. So they don't really question me. But when they used to question my expertise, I would say have credibility, soundbite ready. So you can always redirect them to the data that you already had presented during the start of the presentation. We've delivered X results to Y clients. I'm happy to share case studies post this call. That's also a very, very smart way to approach scenarios like that. And when they assume that you're not a decision maker, you can correct them directly and say, I'm actually the founder and CEO of the company. And don't laugh it off. Be very strict and firm when you say that so that they do take you seriously. And when the conversation gets a bit technical, don't fake it. If you don't know the answers, say you're not the person behind the technicalities of things, but you can always get back to them post the meeting with further data or insights to back it up. So if they ask for very specific numbers, I'll tell them, yeah, I'm happy to provide you that information if you just give me a couple of minutes or an hour for me to get back to you on that. I'd be happy to do that. So that's another thing that you can do. I know as women, especially when you're in a male-dominated world or industry, sometimes pricing or talking about costs can get very uncomfortable. So, sometimes I've been in situations where I undervalued myself to a male counterpart just because I wanted to land that deal. And I feel like that was the completely wrong thing to do. Now I kind of have a rate sheet ready that this is what we usually charge, and our rate is this much, and this is the expected ROI. And before you go on to already negotiate and be like, oh, for you, I'd provide this discount and that discount, just say it and pause and see their, their reaction and what they have to say based off of that. Don't already negotiate down for yourself, because I have done that in the past. So, and I know so many people have done it as well. So I would just say your price and stay firm and stick with it. And I would say one of the key things is to build your own table so that you can dine in it as well. That is exactly why most of my team is actually women, and because I wanted more women in the industry, and I've built that table for me and my team. I don't have to tolerate toxic spaces to succeed. I don't have to start saying, yes to projects that I don't believe in or that I don't support. And actually, a lot of female entrepreneurs or female C-suite execs take me more seriously because I have a 90% female team. And I love actively mentoring and bringing other women in, especially through my webinars. I feel like we've gotten quite a strong community. So that's like one of the key things that, made me a well-known and authoritative figure in the industry. I guess as you go on and as you do grow and expand in the industry, it is very important for you to document your wins and keep testimonials and metrics in a folder. I constantly go through my LinkedIn connections and I constantly ask for testimonials from my existing clients, and practice stating value without apologizing. That's another key thing. I would say being a woman isn't uncomfortable. It's actually, you just have to be confident with it, and you will have deals that will close. And I am super excited to announce that I will be launching a mentoring program very, very soon on social. So please do stay informed and check out Chic Studio Marketing on Instagram. And I will be announcing further information about my upcoming community on there. I hope to see you all there. If you guys like this episode, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.